We truly have amazing, amazing women, and I want to dive in with you. I am channeling my inner Celine Dion, Beyonce, and went and did a fit change, so I hope you don't mind. I'm very excited because this panel is kind of near and dear to my heart because we have an industry that is majority female. We have some amazing men that are on that journey with us, but we have less women in leadership than we should. And so having conversations with powerful leading ladies in real estate is going to help us to tap into their boss energy and take a look under the hood to see what we can tap into, because we're tapping on you to be the next leaders. So I'd love to welcome to the stage, let's see, who do I have back here first? Miss Veronica Figueroa, Miss Kathleen Black, we've got Miss Kendall Bonner,
I don't know what we said.
Melissa Sofia,
Yes.
and Miss Keri Shull.
Oh,
It's okay, I can sit, it's fine. I'll take this seat, this is a good one. So, can we just like hang out a little bit? And,
Yes.
Yes, and dive in a little bit. So, if you don't mind, ladies, I'm sure everybody already knows who you are, but I'd love for each of you to just do a quick intro, and more importantly, how long have you been in leadership? And just a little bit about you and your background. So let's go ahead and start with you, Keri.
Okay, sounds good. I started in leadership in my early 20s, and I was selling new construction condo buildings and was thrown right in the fire. So I was leading people that were in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that had been in the company for decades longer than me. And it was an interesting adventure in the beginning.
It's always hard when you're the young one and you're thrown in because you're looking up and you're trying to make decisions on, like, should I do exactly what they do? Should I be myself? We'll tap into some of that.
Yes.
Let's hear from you, Melissa.
I'm Melissa Sofia. I'm born and raised in San Diego, and I started 23 years ago. I got jumped into leading because I was partnered with my mom. We were running a small team, and 3 years into the business, she passed away suddenly. So at 21, I didn't even know how to do my taxes. I had to figure out how to run a buyer's agent, a little office. And then, that was really hard. So I ended up going solo, and then in 2012, I became a broker, and then slowly started taking on agents. Now we have 41 agents, and we're doing just about $250 million in production off our referrals only.
Nice.
Wow.
I'm sure Mom is very proud of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For sure. Kendall.
Yeah, so first, thank you. I think that you're an amazing queen, and I'm so honored to be on the stage with you, as well as these other amazing ladies.
Yeah, thank you.
So yes, I'm Kendall Bonner. I got into real estate in 2011 after deciding that being an attorney was no longer what I wanted to do. So I've been an attorney 20 years now, but I got into leadership. It started in 2014 as a broker owner, and I did that for almost 10 years, and then I started a team 2 years ago. And then most recently, because I have such a passion, if you know me, I'm passionate about lead generation, marketing, technology. And, one of the places where you see even fewer females in leadership is in the tech space. And so what's really cool is just this year, I was hired to be an SVP of strategic growth and relationships for Realty.com.
You're really kind of a slacker. I feel like you need to step it up and really just, I'm just, you guys are underwhelming. Veronica.
Hi, my name is Veronica Figueroa. I run a team out of Orlando, Florida. I have been in leadership, a little over 18 years. I was forced to become a broker because the brokerage that I had decided to start my career with went belly up during the 2008 crash, and I was forced to just open my own shop. And then from there, just really grew a passion for developing agents and helping them have thriving careers and really stepping up to be the best broker that I could be for them at the time. Later on, I realized I didn't want to be a broker anymore, and just really developed this passion for teams and building teams, and been doing it now, wow, a little over 15 years.
I remember, you and I were talking about this before, I remember when that transition happened, and I was like stuck on social media watching, going like, what's gonna happen? Like, what's gonna happen next? It's been really fun to watch this journey unfold.
Thank you.
Kathleen, you came all the way from Canada to share with us. Thank you. You are amazing. So let's hear a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I think I stepped into leadership. I look at it when I started to take responsibility for myself and my choices, and I think some of us did that earlier, some later. I did it quite young, later with buyers and sellers as a realtor for sure. And then about 15 years ago, I started running the first team-specific coaching company in Canada. So that was a step up in leadership. And then in 2015, I sold my half of that company, and I started my present coaching company on my own now.
Yeah, and I'm just going to do a tiny plug. So do yourself a favor and Google about Kathleen Black and the movie that's been made about her life that's won a bunch of film festival awards.
Wow.
So I'm just saying, she doesn't brag, but I'll do it for her.
That's wow.
Like, we truly have amazing, amazing women, and what I want to do is, and this is not just to inspire women, like men can be inspired by women's stories, so don't get me wrong, I'm not dividing a line here, but I want to dive in with you. So let's start off with this. I am dying to know, I think we all are dying to know, from a daily, weekly, monthly basis, what are the steps that each of you are taking to really refine your leadership qualities? You got to have a routine. I know you do. You don't just wake up and just roll. Like, I know you guys are disciplined. No, let me restate that. I know you ladies are disciplined.
Yes.
Let's start with you, Melissa.
Okay, so daily, I think there are a lot of things that leaders have to refine to help our people. Of course, some of the most common are staying on top of the data and making sure that we collaborate in spaces like these, in masterminds, participating in coaching, and always increasing our knowledge level. But one of the other things that I do that's a little unique in a leadership position is I'm still in active production. And I find that to be really beneficial to my agents because I can help them understand the pulse of the market. I can let them know how it's going to turn and on a dime from being in the business for so long. But one of the most important things that leaders really need to focus on are the soft power skills that we don't talk about nearly as much. These are like collaboration, empathy, nonverbal and verbal communication. Twice weekly, we're doing like what other people call role plays. We're doing coffee and conversations so that my agents can work on that. And one of the most important things that I work on is like empathy and creativity, and by participating in ARIA, and I'm actually running for ARIA National President right now. Woo! The Asian Real Estate Association, if you guys are not aware. I love being involved in our trade organizations because that is giving us like a bigger mission and a bigger goal outside of ourselves and helping us utilize like that really creative side.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to tap back into that nonverbal skill side of things because that is absolutely one of the areas where I think most of us can refine even more. So what kind of exercises or what kind of training are you doing with your agents around that?
Sure. So one of the things that we talked about recently is like the 3 levels of listening. Like when you are talking to a consumer, are you listening to respond? Are you listening to like hear them? Or are you listening to actually look in their faces and understand what are the things that they are asking you beyond what their mouths are saying? Yes. In real estate, so often we have like a script ready or we have a response prepared. Like they're going to talk about rates, I know it for sure, and I have to be ready to fight them on it. The real question is like, okay, are they asking about how can I afford this home?
Right.
Is there the house out there for me? Like address the things that they're asking you non-verbally, and it's really important to use your intuition and your understanding of people, your emotional intelligence. So I'm asking you guys as leaders to really start to develop and look at those soft power skills. They're very powerful.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. Kendall, what about you?
Yeah, so in thinking about this question, I have to say one of the things that I've worked on truly is self-awareness. I was telling Melissa about a story, and I'll share this because it's actually a really good lesson that I learned that I hope other women will learn. Because one of my mom's wisdoms was, you don't have to make the mistake to learn the lesson. And so what I did was I had an agent on my team who was a very strong personality, another woman, and I felt this constant friction with her. Like, I think she just thought she could, I use the term, out-alpha me. And I will never forget, because normally I'm unbothered, like ego's not really a thing for me, but I just felt like, if you're gonna come at me as an alpha, I will respond as an alpha. And this is a moment in my life that I'm actually not proud of, because in my reaction to her, I hurt her. I hurt her feelings. It was sad. I think I made her cry. And after that moment was over, all I could do was self-reflect on the fact that I never, ever want to do that again. I could cry right now.
I can feel it right now. Give me your hand. I know.
I never want to be a woman that'll break down another woman. I will only lift them up. And that was the beginning of a turning point for me in my leadership. It doesn't matter how people come at you. People come at you defensively, broken, hurt, imperfect. How we respond, how we behave, how we manage our own actions is what's really important. And being a leader is about being a servant. And so for me, it's that constant awareness of every action I take, every conversation I have. Am I lifting them up? Am I building them up? I have an acronym for LEAD: listen, empower, appreciate, develop. If I'm not doing one of those 4 things, I'm not being a good leader.
It takes a lot of bravery to own up to something. Like, we're all human and we're going to make mistakes. Like, we're not going to have perfect 10 days, right? And so to admit it to yourself is one thing, but it's a next level boss move to admit it publicly and use that as a way to help others to recognize.
Oh, and I apologized to her. It actually healed us, because I went to her and I apologized, and it changed her. It smoothed her out, actually. Like, she stopped being a little as aggressive, to be honest, with the entire team. And it was great. Like, we had a much healthier relationship after that, I think, because I went to her and I owned what I did. Right? I took accountability, I took responsibility, that was not a way that I should have reacted to her.
I love that you did that.
Thank you.
Veronica. Oh. I mean, not that to give you something to follow, but
No, it's really hard to follow. No, I feel like I'm a lifelong learner. I have the humility, I think, where I'm at in my life, to acknowledge the areas that I still need to improve and develop, and I feel honestly like I'm just getting started. And it really came down to a lot of the things that the ladies on the panel have already mentioned, emotional intelligence, self-awareness, taking personal responsibility. So I'm always working on myself to say, like, how can I just show up as a better version of me? And the truth is, I haven't cracked the code, right? It's just having really honest conversations with myself. And you should hear the conversations I have with myself. They're crazy. But, sometimes it's lifting myself up, having a pep talk with myself, or just being really honest with myself of, like, that was not the best version of you, or are you in integrity with yourself? And I'm really hard on myself at times, but I'm also very honest with myself. That was not aligned with your integrity, and you need to, whether it's have that hard conversation, ask for forgiveness, take, personal responsibility for your actions, and then from there, move forward towards resolution. So for me, I've been working on a lot of personal development. I'm currently in a leadership training with Chris Suarez, experiential leadership, and just the books we're reading. How Will You Measure Your Life is one of my favorite books. Emotional intelligence. Just really working on that self-development has been a game changer for me over the last 5 years. And whether it's listening to podcasts, I try to always put positive things in my mind. And I've learned also recently to just honor my feelings and honor myself, because going back to leadership can be hard, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we're overachievers. And now I'm just so much more in tune with who I am, and really allowing my intuition to guide me as well. I think we talked about this the other day, like there's a lot of pressure in the industry, and we've reached some really, special milestones in our career, but knowing that that's not really how I'm gonna judge my life. I wanna know that I am walking the walk of just becoming the best version of me, and I am so much more than real estate. So right now, it's like my health, where's my marriage, what's my relationship with my family and my kids, and the people that I get to work with. So I spend a lot of time really working on deepening the relationship with myself and the people in my life. And that's really what my focus is right now, and that in itself has helped me improve as a leader and just show up better.
I appreciate that. Kathleen.
Yeah, I mean, I love everything that's been shared, and I echo the exact same things. I think for me in the morning, it's really taking responsibility for where my energy's at and where my mindset's at, because as leaders, we're contagious, and in a good way or in a not so good way. So I want to make sure before I connect with my team, I know where my mindset's at, and I've hyper prioritized. I find that to be so important. Sometimes we get stuck in these to-do lists, and I mean, high achievers, high performers, we never get through those to-do lists. So we need to hyper prioritize, and then I go to my team and we collaborate. Do I need to change things because my priorities aren't necessarily the way the team is going to win? So, and I echo, I mean, weekly, one of the big things I do is check in with my life partner, ask questions, make sure we're on the same page, because as an entrepreneur, life's busy and there's a lot of pressure. And I mean, in my experience working with leaders, things that happen in their personal lives often take them out of the business even more than, mistakes or weaknesses that they might be making in their business, and check in with my children. So I echo a lot of that, I think, and have meetings with my marketing team and my sales team, of course, but on a monthly basis, I think a lot of personal development and healing. When we learn how the brain works, we're always programmed to make decisions based on our past. And some of us have pasts that weren't ideal. And for me, it's really important to clean that mechanism and set my vision for where I'm going. So I'm making decisions based on where I want to be in the future, and not gravitating back to things that aren't going to help people, or let alone help me, from my past. Yeah.
I know Keri has answers. I would love to hear about the day in the life of Keri over here.
Oh, thank you. When I was reflecting on what I think has impacted my journey as a team leader, the most important thing is actually being in rooms just like this. So for me, when I see other people accomplishing what I want to accomplish, it helps me to have confidence in myself. And so in 2010, I was feeling so lost that I almost got out of the business, because I came from a background of selling these new construction buildings and having a lot of structure, and I loved selling homes, but I couldn't imagine a career in isolation. And I was at a RE/MAX at the time, and there were no real estate teams. And so one event, and some of you, how many of you guys are at your first real estate event right now? Anybody? A few hands in the room.
Wow,
okay.
That's awesome. You're lucky. That's
A lot of you have been, how many of you guys attend more than 2 events a year? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Stacey.
Understatement.
So for me, a lot of the energy and vision that I get as a leader comes from talking to people who are succeeding at a high level. And that just, I leave events like this feeling so inspired and so excited, and having an execution plan of the exact things that I think will impact and empower my team the most. So over the years, I think about the impact, and one of the hardest times for me as a leader was during COVID. Because I felt like I was missing these conversations, and you'll see me in the olden days at the bar last because I wanted to learn from every human that had something that I could take back to my team. And just this morning, I was sharing all of these tactical things and vision things that we've seen. And so I just want to encourage everyone to go home and act.
Well, I mean, I can vouch for her because she literally found out that the peer-led mastermind was happening and she didn't quite realize it was happening. She changed her flight and showed up, sat in the back of the room, and was like diving in, and she wanted to meet all the people that were the geekiest, smartest in the room, and it was super awesome.
I have
Walked the
massive
walk.
FOMO. It's a problem.
She did. She texted me. She said, I have FOMO. I changed my flight.
Like, oh my gosh, I have to change my flight. I can't miss this.
Okay, so I am going to combine. I know we kind of talked about we have time looking at the clock, so I'm going to combine a couple of these questions instead of going through it. So I want to jump in. Let's kind of talk about red flags, because sometimes when we're building out an executive team and we have to make decisions on who's going to be a part of your entourage or your inner collective, you're going to be looking for certain traits, skills, qualities, talents, and sometimes there's red flags that you kind of jump out at you. So I think we all kind of know what traits we're looking for in an ideal person, but what was some of the things that were red flags that you said, okay, I learned that this is something I need to pay attention to? Who wants to jump on that?
I'll say energy vampires, 100%. People who don't respect your time, don't value your time. And, you know, we all fall victim as leaders to being apt to bringing someone into our team who maybe fits the visual mold, or say we're like trying to go big on social and then this person looks like they have 30,000 followers, like, oh, perfect, this is exactly who I need right now. Are they real? Are the followers? So dig in, learn more about the person, and make sure they align with your values, your philosophies, and just are generally a good human. Like, let's stop focusing on production level and focus more on integrity.
Yeah.
I mean, please, yes.
Sorry, I was just going to tag team on that. You know, for me, one of the things, and honestly, I'm dealing with this right now, is, you know, I look for people who are not gossipers, people who will feed into a negative mindset, a negative narrative. I cut that out. It's like a cancer to me, and as soon as I get wind of it, cut, done. And I think that, you know, so what does that mean? That, remember I talked about listening, the acronym is, or the leading is listen. And the number one thing you have to do as a great leader is be a really intentional and proactive listener. And so who are you listening to? You are listening to your instincts and your gut, your spirit. You're listening to your peers. You're listening to your agents and your team and your confidants. And you're filtering that information through the lens of how can I take that information and be better, and or how can I take that information and uplift and empower someone else. And so I think when you do that, you end up kind of identifying those red flags a lot sooner because you're paying attention to it.
That's such a good point. What about you, Veronica?
Oh, that's been a journey for us. I'm very proud of the team that we have leading our operations. They've been in my world for a long time. Every single one of them, as I reflect back, either started their real estate career with us or had no real estate experience, but, you know, just I was able to get to know them and, you know, learn a little bit about their past, you know, career, and they checked all the boxes, you know, the humility that I look for, eagerness to learn, willing to take action even if it feels uncomfortable. I think loyalty, right, is such, it's so important, but you won't know until you face challenging times. And I will say that I'm so proud of my team. I have people on my team, on my leadership team, who've been with me for 13 years, 12 years, 7 years, 5 years, and man, have they proven to be loyal. And we have been able to weather the storm. And, I can teach real estate, but what I can't teach you is the will to, the skill set of humility, and well, that's not even a skill set, that characteristic. Everything else I can teach, and I've had my share of red flags with the wrong people, and we held on to them maybe too long.
But what were some of those red flags?
The victim mindset, people who place blame on everyone else, a lack of personal responsibility, just not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and, again, gossiping. I'm the ultimate optimist, so I believe there's good in everybody, but there's just some people that I'm just not the leader for them. Our worlds are just not meant to be aligned. And anytime I went against my intuition, I paid the consequence. And Chep is my coach, and I think you guys are going to get the treat of hearing from him later today. It's like the red flags that you choose to ignore is the truth that will always show up. And, for a lot of people, I gave them the benefit of the doubt too long. In the end, they showed their true colors, and it was better to just cut them off, and I should have done it sooner.
You said the other day, what did you say? You had a great phrase for when you let somebody move on.
We free up their future. It's just the right thing to do. It just feels good. And it's hard. Everything you're dragging on that you should be doing, in the end, you're going to end up doing it anyway, so just do it now. Have the hard conversation, lean in, and just say, look, we know this isn't working. I would stay up at night with a pit in my stomach, knowing that someone that I really believed in, I really wanted it to work, it wasn't working. And, we end up hugging and shaking hands and staying friends, where before, if it just dragged on too long, unfortunately, relationships went south because I take personal responsibility. I should have stepped up as a leader and just had that conversation sooner. But pretty much the same traits that these ladies look for. I don't want gossipers. I don't want energy vampires. I want people who take personal responsibility. And if you can't, it's just really no space for us to be in business together.
Does anybody have a red flag that hasn't been shared?
I do. I think when they don't really desire a lot of growth, that is a huge red flag up front. So I like to talk about where someone is and where they want to go. And if they're not expressing a lot of desire to grow, then what I find is those people are allergic to change.
Yeah.
And when you have someone who's allergic to change in your organization, it is very hard to grow because they have such doubt and they want to stay so fixed in what they're doing, and that really gets in the way of progress.
That's a good point. Is there any that we missed, or did we cover them all?
I think we've covered them all. I think, the reality is, as leaders, I agree, our time, our focus, we can try to give these things endlessly, but the truth is, as much as we try to help people, we won't necessarily be able to help everybody, but they can hurt and impact us.
Yeah.
And for me, a big red flag, I think the one that maybe wasn't said, if we have a team of 20 and all 20 are last year we hiked Kilimanjaro, we're all going to the same summit, right? We're all going there, and one person doesn't understand how they impact the rest of the team, that one person can take us all out. So I think for me, a red flag, if they don't understand not just their role, but how it impacts everyone, that's a huge red flag for us, because we can't win without the entire team. We just can't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge, because we all love to talk, and we love to talk to each other especially. Challenge each of you to take 30 seconds in your response on this last question here, okay? What's one thing that you wish somebody would have told you before you leaped into leadership? Keri, I want to start with you.
Okay. To focus more on what someone else wants than what I want to give them, because I value freedom with time and money, and I wanted to gift that to all of my agents, and it's actually not what makes all of them tick.
Perfect. You did good. What about you, Melissa?
Leadership is hard, but the hard is what makes it worth it. If everyone could do it, they would. And I think one of the most important things as leaders is to remember that we hear that quote, like, we are a product of the 5 people that we spend the most time around. Usually we look at, like, which friends do we need to ditch? But you guys know the people in your office are the people you are spending the most time with. So be very careful about who you're bringing into your ecosystem. That way, when you pour out into them, you can do it with a whole heart and happiness, because as we start to inspire, give hope, and give inspiration, we help other people's lives evolve, and in turn, ours evolves as well.
Amen.
I would say that you don't need a title to be a leader.
Yeah,
Leadership is a state of mind.
that is.
Leadership is a state of mind, and leadership is a choice. And that when you choose to step into leadership at whatever level that you are at, or wherever you are in life, wherever you are in relationship to whatever it is that you're doing, it is a responsibility, it is a privilege, and it is a blessing. And that should be your goal every time you step into leadership.
Give me 5.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think for me, leadership wasn't defined by the amount of homes that I sold. It was how I was showing up in the world. And early on, I got that confused. I thought that because I was just, successful in selling real estate, that's what made me a leader. But when I took a real close look within, the real leader was born the day I started showing up like a true leader for the people that I lead, how I took personal responsibility, and that's where it got really fun. And naturally, when I started working on myself, we started selling a lot more homes. We started making a bigger impact. We started seeing people's lives change, and other people. Leadership is contagious in a good way and in a bad way. And when I was leading in the wrong way, my team was a reflection of that. When I started working on me, my team started showing up completely different. And I'm just proud that I finally discovered that. I wish I would have learned that a lot earlier in my life.
I love that. Around the corner.
Oh
for
my
us.
goodness, I wish people told me so many things, but I probably wouldn't have listened, so hey. But yeah, so many. But I mean, I love hearing these answers because we're having such a shift in leadership. And I think that's so powerful right now. And that's probably the thing I wish somebody told me. Leadership is a mirror. What's going on in our businesses, we're responsible for it. We can change it, we can ignore it, we can reinforce it, right? But end of the day, if we want to be that leader who takes it all on and gets it all done, says, I can do this better than everyone else, we're really lonely and we're exhausted. And we often don't empower the very people who are going to help drive us forward. So I wish I knew that initially.
Yeah. In fact, you had said this the other night too, that no one told you it would be lonely.
Yeah.
Right.
I said I'm an extrovert. I never knew that leadership would lead me to sometimes have my introvert moments where I'm like, it's lonely here, but I wouldn't change it.
Yeah. Well, ladies, thank you for giving us a peek under the hood. I think that whether you're out there thinking about leadership in the future or whether you're currently sitting in a leadership role right now, it's just nice to know that the humanity behind each person that you just maybe put on a pedestal and you don't know them as a person, when you open up and share on the stage, it gives everybody that touch. So thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.